Welcome back to the States. Now it's time for America's Talking, with headlines from across the country that you can find in the description below or in your inbox with the Center Square newsletter, free at thecentersquare.com. Legal claims against gun manufacturers can go forward, implementing a 2021 New York firearms law signed by then Governor Andrew Cuomo. Second Amendment groups had challenged that law. Went all the way up to the judiciary, with Monday, the Center Square contributor Chris Wade reporting the U.S. Supreme Court declining to hear the litigation filed by gun makers, saying that state law was preempted by the federal 2005 Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act, known as PLACA, which blocks litigation that could negatively impact the firearms industry. Now, the National Shooting Sports Foundation, a trade association representing gun manufacturers, said it was disappointed by the panel's ruling and disagrees with the court's reasoning to uphold New York's law. Now, gun manufacturers, including Smith & Wesson, Ruger, and Sig Sauer, had signed on to Supreme Court appeals. They say New York's law unconstitutionally conflicted with federal law. The appeal was also backed by the National Rifle Association, 24 Republican state attorneys general, and several dozen Republican lawmakers who filed legal briefs in the case. Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul praised the High Court's ruling, calling it a massive victory for gun control efforts in a state with some of the strictest firearm requirements in the nation. Last month, Hochul signed a budget that makes New York the latest state to restrict so-called ghost guns, a colloquial term that means firearms that can be assembled using parts manufactured on 3D printers. And that drew legal threats, with more possible litigation from Second Amendment groups. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis announcing Friday the state is implementing new safeguards to prevent Medicaid fraud. The Center Square contributor Marilee Gasser reports the Medicaid Integrity Initiative includes stronger oversight with provider screenings, enrollment moratoriums, and tools to identify potentially fraudulent billing. As part of the initiative, the Florida Agency for Healthcare Administration is launching a program to improve provider screening and detect fraud schemes like stolen identities and hidden ownership structures. Enrollment moratoriums will be imposed on some high-risk provider categories like durable medical equipment suppliers and adult care providers. Additionally, all Florida Medicaid providers will be required to revalidate their credentials. Those who don't comply will be removed from the program. The agency is also deploying new tools to help identify fraudulent billing practices and work with law enforcement. The Obama Presidential Center scheduled to open in Chicago Thursday, but financial questions are looming over the facility and the people who live nearby. The Center Square, Illinois reporter Jim Talamonte reports groundbreaking for the development on the city's south side was held in 2021, but the project was delayed several times. Construction cost estimates rose from around $350 million to at least $830 million. Emily Tallon, professor of urbanism at the University of Chicago, which is nearby, said that you can see the changes in the neighborhood. She said long-term residents have been crying out about what the new investment's doing to their neighborhood, like people being displaced or concerns over gentrification or other issues. Tallon said government officials must step up to prevent negative impacts. But Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle took a preview of the Obama Center Inn and called it a, quote, wonderful place. Preckwinkle expressed hope that visitors to the nearby Griffin Museum of Science and Industry would also visit the Presidential Center. In addition to displacing residents, it's complicated things through traffic congestion and higher property tax bills. Louisiana has enacted a pair of new laws requiring additional disclosures on foods produced through emerging technologies as state lawmakers push for greater transparency in how products are made and earmarked to consumers. That marketing happening in the Center Square, Louisiana editor Misty Castile reporting Governor Jeff Landry signing House Bill 783 earlier this month. The law requires products made with dairy proteins produced through microbial fermentation that they carry a disclosure stating that that process was used. There's another measure that Landry also signed that does something similar. House Bill 717, signed into law, requires cell-cultured food products sold in Louisiana to include a clear and conspicuous disclosure identifying the product was cell-cultured. That law takes effect August 1st. And that's just some of what America is talking about. You can get the latest of these headlines and others at thecentersquare.com. From my studios in Central Illinois, I'm Greg Bishop. And join us back here tomorrow for more stories impacting you, the taxpayer, from around the country, only with the states, powered by the Center Square.